Good morning everybody. It's bright and early this morning because I wanted to get my pork on early so it could cook for the whole day. This is the day that I'm going to show you how to make pulled pork. I made some barbecue sauce the other day and I also made a video on the same day of how to do pulled pork, but I actually didn't have enough time to let it cook properly in the oven, and it ended up being more like pork, you know, like that texture of pork ribs. Whereas pulled pork, you need to leave it a very long time so that it kind of pulls apart. Anyway, here is take two, and I have my piece of pork here. If you can get shoulder pork, a piece of shoulder pork, it's the best cut to get. But if you can't, just a nice lean cut like this. I know there's a bit of fat around the top here, but once that's cooked, that'll come off very easily. Or if you want to, you can pull it off now. Some recipes would suggest that it adds to the flavour of the pork, so I'm going to leave it on, and once it's cooked, it'll literally just pull off like that. So I am going to wear my gloves today because I don't know about you, but since the weather got a bit colder, I find my hands have got very dry and sore and itchy. So at all costs, I try to avoid getting them wet. Anyway, it's probably good hygiene handling raw meat. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to rub my spices into the pork. So I have 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 2 teaspoons of cumin, 2 teaspoons of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of black pepper. I'm using dark brown muscovado sugar because I don't know what's happened lately in Irish supermarkets, but the brown sugar is almost crystallized, and I think that affects the cooking a lot. So I've gone for the more expensive dark brown muscovado sugar. Anyway, it's great flavour. So I'm just going to give these all a little stir up together, and I'm basically going to rub it in. That's what you do. You just give it a nice pat all over until you have rubbed all the spices in to the pork, just like that. So the first time I made this was last weekend, I think. Oh my gosh, it was absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. So we served it kind of as a Mexican style. We served it with rice, tacos, Mexican beans, which I must show you how to do that sometime as well, and a delicious salsa, with lots of lime and coriander, or for those in North America, cilantro. You know, that lovely just Mexican flavour. So I'm just going to rub in the ends as well, just to try and get as much flavour as I can into the pork, okay? And the next thing I'm going to do is get my trusty pot here that has kept us going all through lockdown. And I'm going to pop my pork in here. Just going to put whatever other spices didn't make it. And the last thing I'm going to do is add apple cider. I'm used to saying apple cider vinegar. Apple cider, 500 mils in here, and that's it, guys. That is it. Easy peasy. Just pop the lid on, and I'm going to pop it into my really low oven over here, which is usually about 150 degrees. Oh look, there's my baked potatoes from last night's dinner that I totally forgot about, the leftover ones. So isn't that funny? I'm sure you're all having a great laugh about that. Anyway, here we go. 150 Celsius, which is about 300 Fahrenheit. And I'm literally going to leave that. It's 10 to 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'll be ready for 6 o'clock tonight for dinner. And if the longer you can leave it, check it maybe every couple of hours to pour the juices around and make sure it hasn't dried out. The longer you can leave it, the more it'll crumble and have that lovely pulled texture when it's cooked. What else did I want to say to you about it? Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, I'll be back whenever that's all fit. Oh yes, yes. If you have a slow cooker, you can do exactly the same thing and use your slow cooker. Stick it on before you go to work or head out for the day if you're lucky enough to be able to head out. We're back in lockdown here in Ireland until the 5th of March. So I'll be trying to up my videos to keep you all company, keep myself company too. So if you have a slow cooker, you do the same thing. Stick it on for 8 hours or 6, 7, 8 hours, depending on the size of your joint. Okay? I'll be back and show you the finished product. So hey guys, it's now 5 o'clock. My pork roast has been on since 10 o'clock this morning. So that's 7 hours. That's a long time to cook it. And here's hoping that it's going to be fully cooked this time. So things are looking good in here. I'm just going to pull it out here. It has shrunk quite a bit. Woo! It's very, very tender. So what I'm going to do now is pull off the bits of twine here. I can do that in such a way that it doesn't actually skite all over the place. There's Liam just coming in the back door.
Hello.
How are the hens today?
Oh, they're doing great. We're building swings for them.
Swings for the hens?
Yeah, so they can like swing on, not swing, but stand on the wood bars.
Wow, that's interesting. Can you pass me a wee bowl there, please?
Sure.
So I'm going to also remove as much of the fat from here as I can, because we don't want fatty bits of pulled pork when we bite into it. And it's a tricky kind of thing to do because there's kind of fat enveloped in places, and then you'll see bits of meat. So try not to discard too much meat, but at the same time getting rid of all those fatty bits, if you know what I mean. That's pretty good there. But in here now there's a layer where the outer layer is fat, then there's a thin layer of meat, and then another layer of fat. So try and get as much of that fat off as you can, because believe you me, nobody wants to bite into like a grisly bit of pork fat, which is lovely if it's roasted and it's like crackling, but not when it's you know, ugh, no. So most of that there is fatty bits. I'm just going to pull them off like that. If you wanted to, you could stick your gloves on and just pull at it gently there yourself. I've got most of that away now, and the next thing I'm going to do is literally do the pulling. Look at that. You literally just see the way it's just, I hope you can see that with the camera. Maybe if I tilt this up a little bit, you might be able to see. You're literally just pulling, shredding the pork like that. Okay? You keep pulling like that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to still leave it in its strips. I'm not cutting it into it at all. I'm literally just pulling. I suppose that's why it's called pulled pork. And what I'm going to do is pour a tiny bit of the juice that it was cooked in back into it, and I'm going to brown it in the oven for about a half an hour. So that's why I've taken it out at 5. If we're having dinner at 6, I want to brown it for half an hour. So just maybe like half a cup of the juice back in on here so it doesn't dry out when you're browning it, okay? I'm going to do that and put it in my top oven over here, nice and hot, fairly high, for about a half an hour. And I'll come back and show you the last step then when that's done. Oh, look at that, beautifully. It smells like crispy duck or something like that. It just smells beautiful. I don't know if you can see that, if I can bring it a little bit closer to you. But it's just crisped up really nicely. And all the juices that I poured in there from the pot that it was cooked in have all evaporated. So I'm just going to add, remember we made the barbecue sauce the other day? I'm just going to add that now on top here. And this kept really well in the fridge for a couple of days. So it's nice actually to break up that job, that you're not doing 2 jobs in the one day. And it's actually a really easy dinner when you think about it, because you don't really have a whole lot of work to do. The work is done itself in the oven. So I don't want to mix this through too much and tear up the pork too much, but just lightly cover all the pork with a little bit of the barbecue sauce. I'm going to pop it back into the oven, but not for too long, only for about 10 minutes, because I don't want it to get too dried out. And that'll be us. That'll be our pulled pork ready to eat. And the smell here in the kitchen is incredible. Back in a minute. Here we go, guys. Here is our completed pulled pork. How does that look? Absolutely delicious, and the smell is just, woo, it's amazing. Actually, it's a little bit, the vinegar is strong. Hope you get a chance. This will be really nice. 2 ways I can think of how to serve this. Will be with like a Mexican beans and some lovely salsa, tortilla wraps, or with like a nice brioche bun and some homemade coleslaw. Delicious. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Hope you get a chance to celebrate with your family or your people that you're cocooning with to make some delicious pulled pork. Thanks for watching. God bless.